Hi, this is Jamie Arenthal. Welcome to your Vinyasa class. Please remember to use blocks, props, straps, whatever you need to do to make this Vinyasa practice accessible to you. All levels are welcome. Also, if you have a more advanced practice and you want to add your own variations, please do. Just be safe. Here we go. We'll begin seated on our mat. And if you like, you can always use a block, which will help keep your hips a little higher than your knees. Sit up nice and tall, stacking one vertebra over the next, and then gently tuck your chin in just a little bit so that you can erase any wrinkles in the back of your neck. Close your eyes, close your lips, and begin by breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Each inhalation can lengthen, expand, and nourish you. Each exhalation can ground you, deepen the pose, help you to release something you no longer need. So as you inhale, just notice that elongation of your spine, that expansion in the rib cage. As you exhale, notice that softening in your shoulders, that release of tension, that connection of your sit bones to the earth. Exaggerate the breath just a little. In pranayama, breath control or constraint exercises, we focus all of our intention on the breath so that our mind is directed. Our mind is soothed by having this focus point. So enjoy that sensation, noticing the air as it enters your nostrils. Maybe you can even detect it moving through your sinus passageways and brushing the back of your neck. Maybe easier to notice are the ribs expanding as the air moves into your lungs, and see if you can breathe so deeply that even the belly expands. And then reversing that on that exhalation, see if you can notice the belly drawing in, the ribs narrowing. Maybe you'll notice the air brushing past the back of your throat, entering those sinus passageways, and ultimately exiting warmed up and maybe a bit humid from your nostrils. A few more breaths like this, settling in to your practice, arriving. And then after this last exhalation, return to your normal breath, eyes still remaining closed, still breathing through the nose, and bring your hands to a prayer at your heart. Nestle thumbs up against your sternum and maybe drop your chin just a little bit towards your prayer hands, taking a moment to set your intention for your yoga practice today. Usually the first thing that comes to mind is perfect, but if nothing rises, feel free to use ahimsa, an intention to practice loving kindness and compassion throughout the poses, throughout our breathing, throughout our meditation and relaxation. taking care, exquisite care of yourself, your body, your mind, your soul. And go ahead and float your eyes open. Inhale your prayer hands up to the sky. You can interlace your fingers, leaving just the pointers free, Kali Mudra. Plug those shoulders back into the sockets. And then if you like, go ahead and bow to one side. Lift up and bow to the other side. Inhale on the way up and exhale on the way over. And of course, if you like, you can always use a hand for support. Inhaling back to center and exhaling over to that other side. Inhaling up to center and exhaling over to the side. One more. And then coming back to center, we'll take a twist. So separate your hands, shoulder width apart, turn to your side and release your fingers, anchoring one hand on the knee and then looking behind you over that shoulder as you draw that shoulder toward the back of your room. Drop your chin just a little bit, pull your belly button in and see if that helps you with this twist. Inhaling, coming back to center. Separate your hands, turning to your other side, anchoring fingers, pulling belly button in, and again, swiveling your gaze and that shoulder to the back of the room. Remove the wrinkles from the back of your neck. Just keep that throat soft. Inhaling center, exhaling, changing sides. Inhaling center, twist to the other side. Inhale, center, and exhale, prayer to your heart. Beautiful. So we'll do cat-cow. If you're sitting on a block, please remove it. And we could do this seated. So you can walk your feet to the mat. Inhale, lift your chest. So remember that inhalation is a spinal extension. And as you exhale, round your back, tuck your chin, tip your tailbone. So this is spinal flexion. So inhale, this is cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Just keep in mind that if this bothers your sit bones, you can always put a little extra padding under that tail. A few more times, just rocking forward and back. And then coming back up to seated position, bring the soles of your feet together. You can use your hands here to move the flesh of the buttocks back behind you. And you can hold those ankles if you like. This is Badakanasana, bound angle pose. Inhale, lift your chest, lift your gaze. And as you exhale, hinge forward. You don't need to go very far. You could use your elbows to help draw those knees apart. No forcing. And then see if you can just relax over those legs. You could walk your hands forward to give a little bit more weight, but again, no forcing. No injuries today, please. And then to come up, walk your hands back in. Lift your heart, inhale. And exhale. Go ahead and cross your ankles, coming over to all fours on the mat. Hands beneath your shoulders, knees hip width apart. And just try that cat-cow here, rounding up for cat, exhale, inhaling and arching for cow pose, and just find the middle ground. So it's that tabletop, one long line from your tail to your crown. Extend your left leg behind you. You can ground the toes if that feels good. Otherwise, go ahead and keep that left foot flexed and bring that heel to hip height, no further. And if you like, right arm reaches out in front of you. Flip that thumb to point up. Remove the wrinkles from the back of your neck. Let your gaze just rest towards the mat, maybe the top edge of your mat, and breathe through spinal balance. You can make it easier by putting the left toe on the floor or putting the right hand down, or you can make it harder. Maybe you can lift that right toe off the mat. Just notice what happens. Keep the breath steady, even, in control. And then release all four down. Cat-cow to reset and find the middle ground. Right leg this time, you could keep toes down or flex the right foot, heel to hip height, adding on left arm, thumb points up, making modifications and adjustments as needed. Maybe make it easier, make it harder. You can lift that left toe off the floor. Just continue to breathe. Think of that breath like a massage for your inner organs, right? You're just keeping everything flowing evenly, unobstructed, and then release all four down. Now we'll add one breath, one motion. Inhale the left leg back, the right arm forward, and exhale to all fours, tabletop. Inhale the right leg back, left arm forward, and exhale, tabletop. And then continue at your own pace, keeping your eyes focused on the top edge of your mat, keeping the neck long. And you could add those modifications and variations as well. The goal here is to keep the pelvis steady, like you're balancing a cup of tea on your sacrum. A few more times. Just enjoy that elongation, enjoy that grounding. So inhale to elongate, exhale to ground. One more time, each side, finishing up with the right leg, left hand, and then all fours. Go ahead and sit back on your heels for child's pose. If child's pose doesn't work for you, there's always puppy pose. And then we'll just take a side stretch here. So walk hands over toward your right side, lower your head between straight arms. Feeling the stretch through left side body. Stay outstretched, walk through center over to your left side and lower your head between those straight arms. Feeling stretch through right side body. Back to center. Spread your fingers wide. Curl the toes under, lift knees, down dog. So we'll begin here in down dog. Now, interestingly, down dog is often considered a restorative pose, but this early in the practice, it is work. So you can go ahead and just shift those hips from side to side. Roll your feet out like you're massaging the bottoms of those feet. Nice. And then keep the left foot down, flex your right foot and lift that heel to hip height. So it's one long line from that heel to your fingertips. Again, no wrinkles in the back of your neck. You're gazing at your left toe or left ankle. And as you exhale, bend your right knee, move your shoulders forward over your wrists, pull that knee into your belly like a little cat. And then inhale that right leg up. So this is keeping hips square, one leg dog. Exhale forward, hug the knee into the ribs. Gaze could be forward. And then inhale the leg up. Third time, exhale, hug that knee in, and then step that right foot between your hands. You can place the right hand on your right knee if you like, and just open your heart, looking up to the sky. You can raise the right arm up for a twisting lunge. Modifications include left knee on the floor. And then as you exhale, the right hand comes back down. You could use blocks here, but see if you can just straighten that right leg just for a moment. And then bend the right knee. Look forward. Exhale, extend the right leg. Inhale, bend the right knee for lunge. One more. Exhale, extend the right leg, and then bend. Beautiful. Hands down. Step back. Downward facing dog. Back to pedaling. We'll have a modified vinyasa here. So up on your tippy toes. Inhale forward to plank. Now you're perfectly able to do whichever vinyasa you like. But if you want, just warming up, lower knees, chin and chest, elbows in, and then inhale onto your belly, big toes down, and gently press halfway up, baby cobra. Notice elbows stay in to keep the shoulders away from your ears. As you exhale, bend your knees, find that child's pose. Just a reminder, if you need a rest or break anytime during the practice, you can always return to child's pose, Balasana. Curl your toes, lift your knees, downward facing dog. Left leg, inhale it. Again, it's only as high as that hip. So one straight line from left heel to your fingertips. And at flex foot, keep hips square. And as you exhale, draw the left knee in, draw your shoulders forward on top of those wrists. Hug the knee in like a cat, and then inhale, left heel up. Exhale, left knee forward, shoulders forward, hug it in. And then inhale, left leg up. Last time, exhale, come forward. Place the left foot on the floor. The left hand could be on your left knee to gently spiral your heart up toward the sky for the twist, or you could reach that left arm up. Take the wrinkles out of your neck, yeah? So you could tuck the chin a little and then rotate your gaze up. If at any time this feels uncomfortable, simply train your gaze toward your back wall. Right? So there's no need to over rotate that neck. And then exhaling the left heel down, fingertips, straighten that left leg, exhale. Inhale, bend the left knee for the lunge 3 times. Exhale, straighten the left, variation on pyramid pose. Inhale to lunge. And exhale to straighten. Inhale to lunge. This time, step your right foot forward, coming to Uttanasana, forward fold. Notice I have a soft bend in my knees, releasing any tension in the lower back. So feel free to modify like that as you need. Walk your hands halfway up, lengthen your legs, lengthen your spine, and gaze forward. See if you can pull those shoulder blades up and back behind you. So it's really like a little bit of that cow pose here. And then as you exhale, pull your belly button in, rounding over your legs for Uttanasana. Inhale again, halfway up. So we call it flat back, but you're really looking for that cow, that extension, spinal extension. And exhale, pull your belly button in, nose points towards your knees. You're really looking for that spinal flexion like a cat. Last one, inhale, coming halfway up. Ardha Uttanasana, so half forward fold. Let the arms reach wide and reverse swan dive. Touching those hands together. You can interlace those fingers, pointers up, engage Mula Bandha, and then exhale over to one side. Inhaling, coming back to center, and exhaling over to the other side. One more time, each direction. Again, you could, as you bend to the side, you could use the hand to support you. Inhaling center and exhaling to side. And then coming back to center, palms together, exhale, centering breath at your heart. Beginning our sun salutation, Surya Namaskara. So feet parallel under the hips. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, swan dive, hinging at the hips. Halfway up, inhale, flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Stepping the right leg back, arms by ears, high lunge. We'll lower the right heel down and open the arms for warrior two. Relax your shoulders. Cartwheel the hands to the floor, step back, downward facing dog. Coming through vinyasa of your choice, inhale forward to a plank. Make sure the kneecaps are lifted and the thighs stay firm. As you exhale for chaturanga, the elbows are the only things that bend. Slide onto tops of feet, roll those shoulders behind you, gaze up, upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And as you exhale, flip toes, lift hips, downward facing. So keep in mind that you can omit the vinyasa at any time. You can modify it, you can add on, whatever suits. Right leg up. This time, point the right toe and open the right hip, stacking it over the left for down dog split. See if that helps you to reach that left heel toward the mat. And for some of you, you might bend the right knee. Make sure the right knee is higher than the right foot. And then exhale, use your belly to draw that right knee forward and send the right leg back up. Inhale, down dog split. Exhale, hug the knee in and forward. Inhale, right leg up. And this time, exhale, draw that knee in, use the belly, and quietly step that right foot to the mat. We'll go back to that twist, right arm up. And release it. Step left foot forward, forward fold. Halfway up, inhale, reverse swan dive. And exhale, centering breath to your heart. Left side, deep breath in. And then if you like, you can take a bow over to one side. Exhale, inhale, center, and exhale over to the other side. Good, inhale. And then swan dive over, let it go. Halfway up, inhale, and exhale, fold. Let's step the left leg back, high lunge. Take your time. The transitions between the poses are equally as important as the end points. Lower the left heel, part your arms, warrior two. Relax those shoulders. And then cartwheel the hands to the floor, downward facing dog, vinyasa. Inhale to plank, exhale chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. Left leg up, point the toe and open the left hip, stacking it over the right hip. And for some of you, maybe you'll bend that left knee just for a little bit more quadricep opening, hip flexor stretch. As you exhale, we'll bring the left knee forward, shoulders over wrists, hug that knee in. We're really activating the core muscles here. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, knee comes forward. Really tuck in, little cat pose here. One more. Hug that knee into the ribs and then quietly step the foot to the floor. Take your twist, left arm up. On the exhale, left hand down. Let's step right foot forward, coming into Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway up, inhale, reverse the swan. And exhale, centering breath to your heart. Beautiful. Moving on, more sun salutations. So bend your knees, circle the arms by ears, Uttanasana, awkward chair pose. Again, you don't need to crank your gaze up, putting wrinkles in the back of your neck. Instead, just lift your gaze. Exhale to fold, nose to knees. Inhale, flat back. So for some of you, the easiest thing to do here is just walk the right leg back, then the left. Otherwise, look forward, bend your elbows, bend your knees. Jumping back, coming right into that chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. So again, it's your preference. If you want to practice that, we'll be doing lots of them. Nice. Lift your right leg up. Send it forward. Warrior one. So the left heel down, arms by ears. And then let's release the arms behind us. So a little bit of shoulder stretch. So it's really up to you here. If you're happy just reaching those arms back, thumbs down, palms facing each other, or maybe you can interlace. And if you interlace, just notice which thumb is on top. That's kind of your dominant interlacing, right? We want to see if we could pull the heels of the hands together. Bend that right knee even more. And then leading with your heart, hinge forward for devotional warrior. We'll see if maybe that right shoulder connects with that right thigh. Tuck your chin here so the crown of your head points to the floor. And then drag those knuckles up higher to the ceiling so that you're creating chest expansion as you fold forward. Two more breaths. To come out of this, think about as if I had your hands in mine and I'm just lifting your hands up. Sweep those arms up and then come to reverse warrior or peaceful warrior. Using that left hand as support, that right elbow is straight, so you feel that length through right side, cartwheeling the hands to the floor. So your option here, you can step directly back into your vinyasa or just go straight to downward dog. We're meeting you there. Left leg up, step it forward, right heel down, warrior one. Again, grace, ease, patience, ahimsa. Release your hands behind you. Again, let the thumbs point down, shoulder blades together. You could maybe interlace your fingers, but put the other thumb on top, gluing the heels of the hands together. And then leading with your heart, reach forward, maybe connecting left shoulder to left thigh, tuck your chin, crown points down, lift your knuckles up to the sky. We have a visitor. 3 more breaths. And then the safest way to come out, release your hands. Oh, imagine I'm pulling those hands up, reach up, tip it back to peaceful warrior. Remember, you can use your right arm as support on that right leg. And make sure you are straightening that left arm by the ear, right? Really feeling that length through left side body. And then cartwheeling your hands to the floor, Vinyasa to downward facing dog. Taking 5 breaths here. Spread the fingers out wide. Press your fingerprints into your mat, taking the pressure off of your wrists. You could have knees soft here. Lift the tail even higher, and then maybe see if you can exhale your heels closer toward your mat. It's not imperative that your heels be connected to the mat. What's more important is that you have that length in your spine. So don't compromise, right? Don't corrupt the length of the spine by trying to force the heels down. When you're ready, bend the knees, look forward. Of course, you can step right, step left, or any number of baby steps, or look forward, exhale, quietly hop forward, inhale, flat back, and exhale, fold. Bend your knees, circle arms by ears, Uttanasana, awkward chair pose. No wrinkles, back of neck, please. And exhale to stand, Tadasana. Repeating, chair, inhale, fold, exhale, flat back, inhale, prepare. Left foot, right foot, or jump. Downward facing. Right leg up. Warrior one. Reach those hands behind, dominant thumb on top, heel of hands together. Exhale, heart reaches forward, devotional warrior. Peaceful warrior. Vinyasa. Downward facing. Left leg up. Warrior one. Interlace your hands the other way. Heart leads. Devotional warrior. Peaceful warrior. Vinyasa. Five breaths, downward dog. Eyes open, lips closed. When you're ready, look forward, step left, right, or hop. Lengthen to flat back and exhale to fold. Bend your knees. Uttanasana, awkward chair. Inhale and exhale to stand. Beautiful. So let's practice a little hip opening with a balancing chair. Actually, we could do like a pigeon. So I'm going to mirror you in terms of left, right. So I like to have my chair here to help me balance. So please use whatever you need. So we'll start off in a chair pose. So just want to point out chair pose, right? My hips are reaching back. So when I look down, I could actually see my toes. Yeah, right. We don't want to be here. We don't want our back rounded. We don't want to be too arched. So try and find that place for you. And if for you, that chair pose requires hands on thighs, that's okay too. What we're going to do here is bring that left heel, or left ankle, I should say, on top of that right thigh. Now your arms can continue to be by your ears. Keep bending that right knee. If it's better for you, you can always bring the hands to your heart. Just keep your gaze steady. You're flexing that left foot like crazy, right? Because that's going to help protect your knee. You can take 5 more breaths here, but remember to keep bending that right knee. Keep bending it. You're seated. Yeah. Three more breaths. And then come on up. Go ahead and rotate that left knee forward. See if you can reach for that left ankle with your left hand. Pointing the knee down. I try not to be out here. Draw that knee to point down and hug that heel close to your buttocks. If you like, you can balance here, raising that right arm up. If you'd like to turn this into the full dancer pose, so you can be here, or if you'd like to transition, just keep this right hip long. Right, so start to move the right foot away from you, aiming the right toe up, and then maybe the body will come parallel with the floor. Again, I always have my chair here, something to help me hold on to. So dancer pose, we're stretching the front right, it's the left hip flexor in this case. Remember, use whatever tools you have, or you can always stay here in this upright. We're going to be meeting you there in a moment. 2 more breaths, wherever you are. And then come back to that vertical release. You can circle those shoulders. So that's not only a stretch for your hip flexor, but it also was for the front of that left shoulder. Okay, so come into your chair pose. Again, we want to make sure that the hips are back as if you're trying to sit down on a bench, right? I could see my toes. And then go ahead and take that right ankle on top of that left thigh. Bend that left knee more. And again, if you're more comfortable, hands can always be at your heart. That'll help you to relax your shoulders and maybe bring your center of gravity closer to your midsection, which may make it easier for you to balance on the one foot. Again, have your tools available. Find a spot to gaze at. You have 5 more breaths. When you come out of the pose, just rotate that right knee forward and go ahead, see if you can reach for that right ankle with that right hand. You're going to just drop the tailbone down. And again, make sure the knee points down and is not out here. That just shows you that your hip flexors are tight, right? If it's splaying out to the side. And feel free to stay here, left arm up, balancing. But if you want that full dancer pose, start to pull that right foot away from your right hand. Now you're creating dynamic tension like a bow and arrow. And as you aim the right toe up toward the sky, the body can come forward parallel with the floor. Right? Use your tools, holding on if you want it. And we have 5 breaths here. Keep pulling that right foot away from the right hand. Keep that dynamic tension. Again, you're feeling stretch through right hip flexor and the right rotator cuff in the shoulder. 2 more breaths. And when you're ready, come back to vertical and release. Let's circle the shoulders up, back, and down. Beautiful. So let's come to just a few standing poses here, and then we'll move down to the floor. Inhale the arms up. Exhale and swan dive over. While you're here, just bend one knee, straighten the other, and change sides. So we're just letting those hips shift. Beautiful. And then go ahead, inhale, prepare. Feel free to step back into your vinyasa, or we'll meet you in downward facing dog. Right leg up, stack right hip over left. You can bend that knee. For some of you, there's even a flip the dog, but I'd like you to keep the left leg straight, roll to the outer edge of the left foot, plant your right foot down like a tabletop. The right arm can reach straight up to the sky and then extend over by your ear. As you exhale, flip the dog back, step your right foot forward, and we'll come to warrior two. Straighten the right leg. Shift your hips over to your left and reach the right arm forward. Arms for triangle pose. So for me, in order to keep this a lateral pose, my right hand stays up pretty high. If I reach forward or down the leg, I turn this into a forward fold, which is not triangle pose. Scoop that right buttock beneath you. Go this way. And if you'd like to, you could extend that left arm by your left ear, if that feels good. Bend the right knee. I like to have a little broader stance for side angle. So I walk my left leg back and I start with my forearm on that right leg. And if you like, you can continue with that extension, bringing that left arm by your left ear, or for more of a shoulder stretch, point the palm away from you, follow the arm with your gaze, and bring that left hand on top of your right thigh. Use your left shoulder, pull that left shoulder back and open your heart so the heart is gazing up toward the sky. Keep this space under that right arm large, right? So we don't want to sink into it. We want it to stay nice and long. For those of you who have a full bind, reach under, interlace fingers, but then be sure to draw yourself back. So both arms straight. I'll show you what it looks like. And notice the interlaced hands are under my thigh, not under my groin, right? If this is just too much for you, leave it, right? You don't need it. It's just a little more. And then, of course, from here, if you wanted to, you could extend the right leg into either a bound or not bound triangle pose. Keep the right ribs moving forward. Keep the left ribs moving back. And then you can release this. Go ahead and cartwheel the hands to the floor. Scoot that back foot in. I have all my toes pointing in the same direction, but you could turn the left toes out. If you have blocks here, it could be really helpful. So hands up on the blocks, they're right under your shoulders. Lengthen spine as you inhale, and as you exhale, pour yourself over that right leg. So this is deeper than the little visit we gave before. And then lift your heart up. You can move your blocks out of the way. Step back either through vinyasa or straight to down dog. Left leg up. Open the hip. You could bend the knee. And if you're flipping the dog, keep the right leg straight and just move onto the outer edge of that right foot. Left leg like a little tabletop here, right? You could, if you want, reach that left arm by your left ear for a little bit more extension. And then flipping the dog, we'll bring that left foot forward, right heel down, warrior two. Let's straighten the left leg, move the hips over to the right, and pivot those arms for triangle pose. And keeping in mind that triangle pose, right? If I had a wall behind me, I could place the back of my head and the left shoulder on the wall, right? I'm not folding forward here. And you're tucking your chin and then having your gaze up toward the right thumb. If it bothers your neck at all, just look forward. And if you did it on the other side, you can always extend your triangle. Just keep that support with the left hand and let that right arm come by the ear, keeping the elbows straight. Right? We don't want to be like, well. Just keep it really long. Intention. Coming to that side angle, bend the left knee. You can rest your forearm on that left thigh. And I like to move my right leg back. Just feels a little bit more open and free in my pelvis, but you get to decide. You can continue with that extended side angle, one line from your right fingertips to your right heel. If you want that shoulder stretch here, turn the palm away, follow it with your gaze as you reach behind you and place that right hand on the left thigh. Keep lots of space here under the arm. And if you want the bind, the full bind, you reach under, interlace, but then draw yourself back, right? So I want my shoulder, left shoulder and left ear to be stacked up over that left knee. Right? And you're tucking your chin and gazing over that right shoulder. Right? I see a lot of bound side angles that look like this. So that's not really where you want to be. You want to be here. Straighten those elbows. Good. And then for some of you, you might want to straighten that left leg if you did it on the other side. So it's like a bound, a little bit more thigh stretch. When we talk about stretching our hips, we don't just want to hit the outside, right? We want to do front, back, inner, and outer. And our next set of stretches will be pigeons, which are definitely for your outer hip. All right. So when you're ready, you can release the bind, bring those hands forward, find your blocks if you're using them, scoot the back leg in. I like to have all my toes pointing in the same direction, but of course you could do the traditional right foot turned out. Inhale, long spine, and exhale, forward fold over that left leg. Let your head go. This is really your opportunity to surrender, right? Here's a pose that's certainly not everyone's cup of tea. Keeping your pelvis flat and level so you could balance that cup of tea. Keep drawing that left hip back as you sink. Exhale. Relax. Two more breaths. Come out safely, soften the knee, move the blocks. One more vinyasa if you prefer. and downward facing. Let's lift the right leg up and bend the knee. And this time, bring that right knee outside your right wrist. Preparing for pigeon. Notice where my foot is. We're going to walk the right foot so it comes toward that left wrist. And the right wrist is inside the right knee. Walk your left foot back a few inches before you lower that left knee to the floor. You can come up here for a little bit of a protected back bend. Inhale. And then as you exhale, go ahead and melt yourself down to your elbows. You could use blocks here, whatever you need. I like to stack my fists and bring my forehead to those stacked fists. The other thing that you could do, if you have a thin block, you could just tuck it to the outside of that right hip. Not enough. I see people sitting. We don't want to sit on the block. You're just using it like a little boundary. I was thinking last night or the night before that it's like the gutters they have in bowling, where you sometimes when you have kids bowling, they put up those gutters so that they don't get gutter balls. So it's the same thing here. It's just like a little guideline. And if you want to go deeper, spread the elbows wide, flat hands, forehead back of hands. If prone pigeon, which is what we're doing now, facing down, doesn't work for you, you can always do pigeon on your back. Lie on your back, bend your knees, cross the right ankle over the left thigh, like we did in that balancing chair, like a figure 4. And then hug that left thigh in. And you'll get a very similar stretch to that outer hip. And you're ready to come out. Walk your hands under your shoulders, lift up, move your block, and step back to downward facing dog. You could lift that right leg up, just give it a little movement, opening through that hip. And then place the right foot down. Left leg lifts, open the hip. And then bring your left knee to the outside of your left hand. You can just notice where my foot is. If I were to just sit down here, my heel would be in my groin. I don't want that. Let's move that left foot, wriggle it up. The left hand is inside that left knee, and then scoot your right foot back a few inches before you lower your right knee to the floor. You can take a little bend here up on your fingers, nice protected back. And then melt your way down to your elbows or a block. You can stack fists, lower the forehead. And again, if you're using that block, you could just use it as like a little guardrail for your left hip. Not sitting on it, but using it to keep your pelvis level. I'm still picturing, I do have a cup of tea right up on my table. I'd love to try that, right? A little cup of tea here to keep the pelvis level. And I've noticed also what happens if this right hip is lifted up, look what happens. Now I'm putting pressure on the inside of that right knee. I don't want that. I really want the pressure to be above that right kneecap. And relax. Make sure all 5 toes of the right foot are pressing down into the mat. You can make it deeper by spreading the elbows wide, hands flat, forehead back of hands. Using this opportunity to practice acceptance, to practice surrender. You might also be doing this supine on your back, facing up, both knees bent. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh and hug the right thigh in. Five more breaths. Take your time. Come out of the pose, hands under shoulders, lift up. And then as you exhale, sit off to your left side, swing the right leg around. Good. And let's do tabletop. So we've halfway been working there, right? So feet are flat, hip width apart, hands behind you. Now, if you have any wrist issues, you can always make a fist and just point your thumbs towards your bottom. Yeah, that's another way to do it. Lift your hips up. And if you're comfortable with it, let your head drop back. Breathing in, breathing out. Again, we can make this more difficult, right? There's so many ways to do that. So let the hips come down. So one way to make it interesting, you could cross the right ankle, then lift the hips. Head goes back, breathe in, breathe out. Make sure your hips are up, up, up. And then you can come down, right foot down, cross your left ankle over, lift up. And then coming back down. And then just to be even, let's have both feet on the mat, lift hips up. Maybe the head goes back, really stretching away from the mat with your hands, whether they're fists or flat. And then come all the way back down. You can hold on to the backs of your thighs or hands free. Tuck your tailbone under and slowly roll your way onto your back. Walk your feet in, lift your hips up. Just for a little bridge here. If you want more of that chest expansion, shoulder stretch, you could walk your hands beneath you. Just notice which thumb is on top. Walk the upper arm bones under you so they're parallel to one another. Glue the heels of your hands together if you can, and press your heels into the mat to lift your hips up. Neck is long, off the mat. Just your shoulders and the back of your head are on the mat and your feet. To come out of the pose, unlace hands, separate shoulders, one vertebra at a time, roll down. Walk your feet wider, like to the outer edges of your mat, and just windshield wipe. If you're done with back bending, you could bring your knees to your chest, but if you want to do the other side, meaning the hands clasp on the other side, then stick with me here. And then bring those feet back to parallel, hip width apart, hips lift. Walk hands beneath you if you like. Interlace your hands the other way. Awkward thumb on top, upper arm bones. Move them beneath you. You're creating a cleavage between your shoulder blades. Heels of hands connected, elbows straight. Pinky pressing down to the floor. So again, it's just the back of your head, the shoulders, backs of arms, pinky, and your feet. Press those heels into the mat, lift those hips up, continue to breathe, smooth, even, continuous, gently massaging internally. And then when you're ready, unlace, shoulders broaden, roll one vertebra at a time. And you could take that wide foot windshield wipe. Again, the wider your feet, the better, because then you can drop the inside all the way to that and just feel that length in the front of that same thigh. Coming into final relaxation, Shavasana. Your choice here, if you'd like to keep your feet flat on the floor and then rotate your toes in so your knee is content. I'm hearing the word content. Yes, santosha. So what that does for us, it internally rotates our femurs, largest bone in our body, And in doing so, it relaxes the pelvis, right? The iliopsoas is slack here. Iliopsoas is what causes so much problem, right? If it's too tight or too tense. So this helps to relax it. But of course, if you prefer, you can always extend those legs out to a comfortable V. Just tuck your buttocks underneath you so your knees and toes point out. And then we'll do the same with our shoulders. Tuck one shoulder under you and then the other shoulder. The arms splay out. But of course, if you feel more comfortable with your hands on your belly, you can always do that, or even cactus arms, right? So experiment a little bit here. Just see what you like. Where is it going to be the most comfortable for you to relax in Shavasana? We have just a few minutes here. You can always make Shavasana longer, but do include Shavasana in your practice, as it helps to integrate all of the other work that we've done. Lips are closed, eyes are closed, breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. This time, the breath is effortless. Imagine it's like the waves are rolling onto the shore. That's your inhalation. And then without effort, the waves are rolling back out to sea, your exhalation. Allow the breath to breathe you. If you notice your mind wandering, be gentle with yourself. Just carefully bring your thoughts back to the breath, using a mantra, a mind vehicle, if that makes things easier for you, such as in on the inhale, out on the exhale, or use Sanskrit. So hum is my favorite. Inhaling, I am, exhaling that. So hum. So hum. So please feel free to stay here in Shavasana as long as you choose. Namaste.